Yay! We're live.
And everybody, welcome Ben.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again, Robin.
I always love to have you as a guest.
God bless you. I'm
We
glad to be.
also have in the chat Ange. Hello, Ange, and
Yeah.
Gerald, and Mimi's Tarot and Gems.
Hey,
Hello.
guys.
How is it over there today, weather-wise?
Oh, it's been very hot, Robin, actually. And my eyes are drying up. I've had to wear my glasses today because I usually wear some contact lenses. But it's been really hot, so I just thought, my eyes are a bit dry.
Do you
So
have allergies?
no, I don't think. Sometimes I get a bit of hay fever, but it could be a bit of that, maybe.
I was wondering if that would affect your wearing contacts or dry eye, if there was
Yeah, I
an
would.
allergy to pollen or something.
It could be because it's funny that it's been like the last 2 days, which have been really hot. But we're not used to hot weather in the UK. We
Yeah.
moan about it actually, as you can imagine.
I never can figure out the difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit. We had it quite hot here yesterday, although not quite as warm as they predicted. I think they thought it was going to be into the lower 90s, and I think it only got to 90 or 91 or 89 or so. I don't know. That's still too hot for me, and I stayed in. But
Oh,
today it's freezing. It's
yeah,
blowing really hard outside and kind of cloudy, and it dropped from like 90 down to like 59 or something, which is nuts, like 30 drop.
I know you never know what it's going to do you? That's the trouble from one day to the next. That's probably because I don't watch the weather. Actually, I should watch the weather on TV, and then I'd know what to wear and do.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what I wanted to say. There's few stray thoughts in my head, and I didn't write them all down.
Oh
So,
no, let them loose, Robin. What have you got to say?
um, well, I was wondering whether you ever um, take your cards outdoors and read, or take them somewhere other than home to read.
That's a good question. So no, I don't. I've got like sometimes I've took decks to work before for people that I know at work who know I'm into tarot, who would like a reading. So I've done that, and I've put a tarot deck in my bag. But if I take it, the one I take to work, it's not one of my favourites. It has to be one that I don't mind getting a bit messy, or it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it falls out in the bag or whatever. But yes, I do take some to work, but I've never used them outside, funnily enough. Um, have you, Robin? That's a good question, actually. I've
Yeah.
never used them
Do
outside.
you often read for yourself, or only just other people, or a mix, or
I'm doing mixed, mainly for myself, but I do like reading for other people because it keeps your hand in, and especially when you read for someone and it makes sense to them. I think that's great because it gives you affirmation and that, oh, okay, something's working, if you know what I mean. But then again, I use it as more as a self help tool. So not only when I read for myself, but when I read for others, uh, I'll see it as their thoughts on the table, their current thoughts on the table. I don't really use it to predict future events. I just use it as a self help, more of a self help tool. Although saying that, I do think sometimes it can predict things. But I
I'm
think, go on.
I'm the same way, and unfortunately, I don't often have the chance. I don't really have the chance to read for anybody else, and I could do it online, but I'm
Yeah.
a little bit afraid of doing it poorly, and like then it's on there forever. But I guess if I do it and I don't like the way it came out, I could just delete that video.
Well, exactly. And you know what, Robin? I felt exactly the same as you before I started doing readings online. And I was really worried because I thought, well, what happens if it doesn't make sense? Usually I'm with someone physically, and, you know, I always think can pick up more on people's feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas over online, it's not as easy to really see that. It's not easy to see anybody you're reading for, is it? Because a lot of the people I read for are in chat and stuff. But it I think the first one I did was with Tangent. It was brilliant. It really helped.
Hmm.
And they're so lovely, the community are, that they're very supportive. So I'd give it a go because there's nothing to, you got nothing to lose.
I think that I approach it similarly to you, and I think that's the problem I have with doing it for people in the chat, because you need a kind of back and forth, give and take. Like you need
Yes.
more, if you need more information, you need it right now. And
Yeah.
if you have to wait for them to type it in or think about
Yes.
it, it's a little bit awkward. It
It
occurred to
is.
me the other day, though, I thought, well, I could put the link on there and they could join me on screen live.
Yeah.
Now, I know some
Yes.
people would be afraid to do that because they don't want to be seen, but
Yeah.
they could just do the audio and leave the
Voice.
camera black. But
Yeah.
I don't know if they would have issue with their voice even being heard or not. But that would be a quicker way for me to have a dialogue with them
Yeah.
if I want to know more as I'm reading the
And
cards.
I
So
like that idea, Robin, because especially if you're doing bigger spreads, say, because a lot of people that I read online for, it's like 3 card pulls at the most.
mhm.
So yeah, I'd agree with that. It'd be much easier if you had that dialogue back and forth.
And I do read out a lot. But I don't do like once a day or something. I'll pull a 3 card spread for myself, and I can read it in like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
It, for
Understand.
me, all the images kind of pop into a keyword, so it makes
Yeah.
like a rebus or a sentence or
Yeah.
something. It's like, okay, that's what that means for today. That makes sense, you know. But if I go outside, outdoors, well, lately I've been going out more and sitting in the park if the weather's nice. So I'm on a bench and I don't really have a table or anything, although I know places where there are tables I can go. But I usually just do a 3 card in my hands or on my lap.
Yeah.
And if I have a table, I'm afraid of laying out more because if it's breezy, your cards can fly.
No, that would be you're chasing them down the boardwalk.
But I also do like to go to cafes sometimes, and an indoor cafe is nice. And even though I'm in public, it feels very private because everybody's doing their own thing, and nobody's ever really intrigued to
Yeah.
say anything to me or approach me.
Yeah.
But I'm in this thing now where I only do 2 kinds of spreads. I do a 3 card spread, open reading, or I do this one that I think I invented. I put it on my channel. It's called the inverse pyramid. I don't know if you saw
Yes, I have
the
seen
video
that.
where you can either do, it's like a top row and then it gets fewer cards down,
Yeah.
down to 1 card.
Yes.
And you can either do it 3, 2, 1, or you can do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you know.
Yeah.
And if you do the 5 one, it's actually like a 15 card spread, which is kind of
Wow.
nice.
Yes.
But the
Yeah.
way you do it is you relate pairs of cards in the first row, and then in the second row, you relate the first card to the 2 above it in
Okay.
3 relationships, you know, like
Yeah.
well, how it relates to the first card and the second, and both together combined with that one.
Oh, I
Like what that does, and it still goes pretty quick. I think if I had an overhead camera, that would be the kind I would want to do with people online. But
Yes.
since I don't have that set up, it
Mm.
might be awkward to just see it myself and then hold them up one at a time.
Yeah. There's a lot more awkwardness, isn't there, doing it out online? But I think it's good, Robin, for confidence building. And I just noticed a comment from Gerald about a reading that you've done for him. He said, sorry, the chat jumped, but he did say something. Robin, when we've read together, you were on point with the readings. I always enjoy when you read. So, you know,
Thank you.
yeah, I
I
think,
would actually like to do that more with other people. I
yeah,
liked it when I had study groups because it helped me learn. And I think people have different styles too. So, like, even if they're not purposely teaching you, just
yeah,
viewing the way they approach it is
yeah.
very revealing. You can learn things by example, you know.
Well, I learned something recently from Kelly from Dozen Cats and Me. She sometimes has the deck, but then once she's shuffled, she reads from the back and she keeps pulling the cards from the back and she tells a story. And I said, "Oh, how long do you keep pulling the cards for?" She says, "Until it feels right to stop." So I tried it, and honestly, Robin, it works so well. And I did it on a live not so long ago. And I felt like it was coming quickly what I was trying to say. And it was like, because another thing with me, and it sounds like you're the same from what you've said, is that like I'll read my own cards and in 60 seconds I know exactly, I've read it and that's it really. I don't, it's what it says to me. I don't go too much into detail about it.
Mhm.
Um, and I think, whereas some people that, like you said, there's people who do it differently. They go into more detail. They look at all the symbols and stuff in that. But everybody's different, and I think that's the great thing on here is that we all bring something different, don't we?
Yeah, I saw a video this morning of, I can't remember I think the channel is Astro Boy Tarot,
Yeah,
and he did this uh, VR I think it was like quirks, tarot quirks or something like that. And
yeah,
it's 10 of them. It's fun to watch. You should watch it. The first 5 were sort of like specific things that were a little bit more formal to the community or whatever, like, oh, I only like cards of the same size format, was one of them.
yeah,
And one of them, and then the other 5 were personal quirks. And he said, well, if I do 3 card spreads, which I mostly do, I don't I lock it in at 3. I don't go
yeah.
to additional cards
Yes,
because
yeah,
he's like, oh, as people see a card, no, I don't know how to read that, or I don't like that. Let's see what the next card will bring.
yeah,
You know, and he refuses to do that. He says, whatever you know and want to know, you need to know it's all in those 3 cards.
mm,
I have found myself pulling additional cards,
I
and I
do.
kind of echo what you just said. And I'm not pulling cards because I don't like what I see. I'm pulling cards because it's unclear. And
Yeah,
it's not like I
clarity.
give up too easily. I do try to work it out or figure it out. But if I really can't figure it out, I don't throw the whole spread away. I will draw
Yeah,
cards to see, if there's a clarifier.
yeah,
And if I don't get it on the first card, I'll keep going. Sometimes when I start to do that, I'll just keep drawing to see where it's going to go. It's not
yes,
even like I'm looking for an answer, but oh, this is an interesting turn of events.
mm,
Where is this going from here?
yeah,
And usually I'll find might sometimes be as many as 6 or 7 cards because you do hit a card where it feels like, yes, this is the ending.
yeah,
Because you could go through the whole deck, but I
yeah,
mean, usually you get a card that feels satisfying at some
yeah,
stage. But then I also take into account how many additional cards did it take to get to the satisfied point.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
think there's something about that in the reading too. It's like, okay, 3 cards is the crux of it. But if
mm,
it takes you that long or longer than more than 3 cards, 3 more or whatever, to
mm,
get somewhere to a
yeah,
satisfying answer or
yeah,
solution, it might be indicating that there's a lot more work involved
yes,
to get where you need to go.
yeah,
Because you got 7 cards beyond the 3, so it's not going to
yeah,
be tomorrow. It's something that it
yeah.
might take you a couple months or a couple weeks or whatever.
Well, I did a course not so long ago, and it was an online course. And like, because like if you do a reading and then like a 3 card reading, and then you get the Ten of Swords at the end, and you're like, well, which doesn't always, I don't think of the Ten of Swords as bad really, because it's the end of something, but the beginning of something else, because you see that new dawn in the background, don't you?
Right.
But the woman said on this online thing, she said, there's no problem pulling an extra card to see what's next. And, I think that's a good thing to just like, it's clarity, isn't it? Like you say. And I think
Yeah,
it's,
and with that card, it's almost like if you're pulling a card to see what next, since 10 is the completion, it's
yes. Yeah.
almost the first card in the next spread.
Yeah.
Because you're finished. That could be a resolution.
Mm,
But if you feel like uncomfortable with that resolution, like you need just something to hold on to, a little bit of hope, maybe
yeah.
that one card it will carry you on into the
There's no right or wrong answer, I think, with these things. And Gerald's just said, Robin, in the chat that he'll do readings with me and you if you want to try it
future.
sometime. You know, so just to get your hand in, it'll be really good.
Yeah, and something I thought we'd do today, but we'll see how it goes, is
Mm.
and we're already 16 minutes into kind of opening up a little bit, but I don't mind as long as you don't mind.
No,
Um,
that's
I thought what we do is we're going to look at these 3 decks that were mentioned in the description and
Yes.
give our thoughts on them. But then at the end of each one, before moving on, maybe we do 2 quick readings with that
Yeah.
deck for the chat people. I don't
Yeah.
know if we can
Sure.
find enough questions there, but I'll pull 3, and then you pull 3,
Yeah.
and we'll just to see how those decks work for
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
and maybe
Definitely.
we can put our input in on each other's reading
Yeah.
if we're called to it.
Yeah. Let's do that. That sounds good.
But yeah, I do like to read outdoors, and I do readings at home, but I don't spend a lot of time with them. It's kind of like I'm doing so little in my life. I don't have much that I need to query about. So
I'm the same. Yeah, I know. It's funny because I thought that this morning. I almost want to read on something to do, but I thought I haven't really got any questions, or I haven't got anything that
yeah.
you
And
know.
I'm not a big one for going into like really fancy downloading spreads and doing all these spreads. For me, I think it's funny the way I deal with tarot. For me, the I only need one question. What do I need to know?
Yeah, yeah,
I ask
yeah.
the what do I need to know? You got something to tell me. Tell me, And
You
then
see, the thing I find is that in the last couple of months, I bought a lot of tarot decks, and I'm thinking I need to do some readings because I need to use these tarot decks because
uh,
otherwise I'm falling into a trap of just buying, which I've talked about this, but I do feel like I'm just buying, and I want to start using them now. So doing lives like this and talking about the decks that I've got and doing readings, I think is really helpful. You know.
uh, and Candy of Candy Soul and Soil did a great video this morning. I think it was something like #FOMO or something. Or
Oh, well,
maybe it wasn't. But no, it wasn't FOMO. I forget what the tag was, but you look up her video for today and look at it. I think it was her recent activity or something. But she's going through this whole spell about she was on a no buy year last year, and all the things. It brought up a lot of the stuff that you and I have talked about recently or before.
yeah,
Issues about, oh, we're getting deck overload, or we're, not totally comfortable with our buying or whatever. And a lot of people are talking about this lately. But she brought up a couple of points. I thought one of them was social media. And
yeah,
I think social media does really encourage you to buy. Whether Gerald says, what's his key thing,
know
watch
your limits.
know your limits, right? Exactly. Whether he says that or not, I think that sharing all these decks, people just like slough that off, and
Yeah,
I have gotten to the point where I like walkthroughs, but
yeah,
I'm also really fussy. But I tend to watch fewer of them these days, and
yeah,
I either skip a deck that I have some inkling about, like if it's an animal deck, I'll skip it. I won't even watch that, or usually if it's an oracle deck, I won't even watch that because
yeah,
those are things that are not in my mode of collecting.
mm,
And so why even tempt myself? Or
yeah,
if it's a deck that I might be interested in, but I don't want to hear all the extra stuff, I'll
yeah,
just skip through it, or if it's something I don't know, I'm curious about, I'll just randomly skip from card to card or through the deck. And if I like all the cards I see, then I'll go back and I'll watch the whole thing through.
yeah. And I think that the thing is, I think what some people do is I'm guilty of this is mindlessly buy without actually checking out the full set of cards to see actually if you do like it. Because I've been very guilty of just seeing like one card and thinking, oh, I really like that, and then going straight into it, but not having reviewed the full cards.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to because the other thing I thought, I do a lot of flip throughs on the channel, and I think I don't want to encourage people to spend their money, but a lot of people have said that they like flip throughs that people do because it informs them and helps them make a decision if it's something they want.
Love
Which
them
is
because more often it shows me what I don't want.
yeah,
There's
exactly.
stuff in the flip that rules the deck out for me.
Yeah,
Um, uh, Oh, I lost my train of thought there. Sorry, I jumped in and interrupted you and lost myself.
No, it's fine. The chat are quite chatty about it, Robin. I think it's an interesting subject, isn't it? This, and I know I spoke to Richie and Gerald
Oh,
about it the other day, and I think we're going to do some more talks on this because I think it's very interesting.
well, I made a note on under Candy's video when I said, what I'll do, I'll look at a walkthrough and then think about it.
Yeah,
If I like it enough, I'll look through it again,
yeah,
or I'll put it aside and move on. But if I keep thinking about it through that day and the next, or going back to watch the whole walkthrough a second and a third time,
yeah,
then I think, gee, am I really into this deck that much? And
yes,
after I stop watching it, if I can't stop thinking about it, gee, I want to see that image again.
yeah,
Go back, and I'll get to this stage where, gee, I'm spending all my time walking through this and watching it. Maybe I better buy it. So then I'll go and buy it, because then I get this notion of fear of missing out, particularly if it's an indie deck.
I know.
Mass market, maybe I can wait a while, but if it's an indie, and I think, oh, I've watched this walkthrough 5 times, and it's an indie deck, I think I probably better buy it.
Well, and I struggle with, there's only a limited print run on this deck, so you better get it now. And actually, it's with this Tarot de Lune that we're talking about, sorry, the Trionfi one, this has only had a limited run, I think, or is having a limited run. So it's kind of like, oh, I better get it quickly, because, but you don't have to, it is about thinking about it. And I'm trying to encourage more people to take time before they jump in and
with the limited ones, particularly if it's something popular, I jump. I leap before I look almost, because I take into account this will be resellable or collectible. Somebody is going to want this if I decide later I don't want it. But I do keep that in mind. It's not like, oh, I'm going to love this and keep it forever. I think, well, I like it enough to pay for it, knowing that if I don't want it, I can resell it. I haven't lost out anything.
No, that's true, and I think you're right. If it is like one that people do like, you can resell it and get your money back, and if not more, which is always.
Yeah, let me just glance back at the chat because I haven't really addressed anybody since we got here. Welcome to Ange, Gerald, Mimi, Lisa, V. Kestrel, Gomez.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Lisa Stevens, who I say, Tarot Living with Manassa.
Hi, Manassa.
M.A. the Gray, Jezebel. Jezebel, I'm in a state, just killed a huge bug that fell on me as I came in. I hope it fell from the outside part of the door frame, as the other possibility is terrifying. I hate dealing with bugs.
Oh, I do.
Now, I tend to kill them in my place, but I don't want to kill them. I just want my territory. Well, I wouldn't even mind bugs sharing my space with me as long as they stay out of sight.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's spiders I can't stand. I mean, like in Australia, they have these hunter spiders. I couldn't. No, I can't.
The bigger bugs are the worst.
Yeah,
I do often when I'm here at the computer. I have a little lamp here, and every once in a while, a small moth will appear from somewhere. And it's even those. I mean, it's like I should get rid of them anyway because they eat clothes, But it's like, as long as you're not flitting around in my face, distracting me, go live your life. Go nibble in my closet on the clothes. But if you're just like, be a social butterfly in front of my face when I'm trying to do stuff, then you're gone. I can't handle it. But also, I have occasionally, like once or twice a year, usually sometime in the spring, we have these water bugs here. They're like cockroaches, but they're the giant ones. I think they're called meadow bugs. And they're like about almost 2 inches long. And I cannot bear seeing those roaming around. And they're really quick.
They
And
give them.
usually and they're too big for me to want to smash them. I do have a bug spray, and usually by the time I get and find the bug spray and grab them, they've already disappeared. But
Yeah,
it's hard for me to sleep at night knowing something as large as,
creeping
something
around.
almost like a mouse size or something might
No.
go into bed with me. It's just like,
No.
no.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't want that crawling around in your bed, do you?
Where were we? Oh, anyway, bug hunting. Okay, there's Gerald's quote. Oh, Jezebel says, I do taxidermy, so I'm always paranoid that my home will become infested with bugs. I need a cup of tea and some grounding breathing to let this fear go. Jezebel, have you considered doing taxidermy on some of those bugs, maybe? I actually do have a few little frames behind me on the wall. They're probably not in a camera frame, of like butterflies. You know how they do these
Yes.
butterflies under glass?
Yeah.
They're beautiful. There's like iridescent wings.
I know what you mean. I only know what you mean because I used to play a game called Resident Evil, and they had those in that game. It's great, and they came to life in that game. But yeah.
And know your limits. I'm not pushing anybody to kill anything and do taxidermy on it.
We don't encourage it, guys.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. Asia, Beth is here visiting my granddaughter, so lurking and can't stay, but wanted to say a big hello.
Oh, hi, Beth.
Big Ben and all. I was so excited when I met Aspasia, I never remember how, Beth, because she was a New Yorker, or so she said. But and I thought, another person in the New York area, maybe we can meet up in a cafe. It turned out she moved to the West Coast, so
that's a shame.
But I am now in a New York, there's a New York City tarot group or something, and so there are building a few people that I could connect with in person, and I'm looking forward to that. It hasn't quite happened yet, but
it's always nice to actually connect with someone in person, actually, isn't it, Robin? And like you say, it's easy to give someone in person a reading, I think.
And I'm hoping that I think that would be fun to meet in a cafe and sort of like share spreads. And I don't know if they'd be open to, like interacting with the spreads, because some people just want to read for people and they don't really want to think what other people think of the spread of their cards. But I like to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, there's lots of different spreads out there as well that I've heard about, which is interesting because there's loads of different things you can learn, isn't there? And different ways you can do the spreads.
And hello to Kaz. And I'm trying to scroll more. Chris is here. Hi, Chris. And Chris doesn't say hello to you and me, Ben.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Gerald, how you doing? That's Chris. Antoinette is here.
Hello.
And you can't hear it. Is anybody else having trouble hearing us? I feel like we're both nice and loud. I hope you can hear. I've been having some trouble with my pre-recorded videos lately. They're not loud enough, and I don't know what to do. My mic is up all the way on the computer, but it doesn't seem to be a problem in the lives, just the ones I do with the photo booth software from my computer.
Just make sure you haven't got a bug crawling over the microphone. Those big ones sound horrible.
Oh, Amber Shadow Wolf, hello.
Oh, hi, Amber.
And Chris goes, haha, excuse you, Robin, scroll up. I said hi, too.
Okay. Oh, bless him, yes. I'm sure he did, knowing Chris. He just...
Okay, I think I'm caught up. What was, oh, remind me. Well, I'll remember when we get to that. I had a really interesting spread I shared on Chris's channel. I thought it was interesting. Um, I've been thinking also a lot about tarot lately, that a lot of it feels like, for me, it's the same messages over and over. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is basically, I think I look at tarot to keep balance in my life or in my existence,
Yeah.
which means a lot of the spreads have to relate to duality, like male and female, good and evil. Um, there's If my life feels in turmoil or out of balance, I look at a spread to see, like, it usually tells me how to bring it back into balance, or
Yeah.
where I'm overly focused and maybe to go in the other direction.
Yes, I know what you
And it's
mean.
weird that it's that way. Or maybe that's just the way I look at things, but it feels to me like I look at it as a book of cautions,
Yeah.
not so much as predicting the future or anything, but
No.
like, oh, maybe I overlooked that I've been a little, you know, to one end of my behavior
Yeah.
lately than the other, and I need to like bring it back towards the middle a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I get you because like I say, I see it as like your thoughts on the table, and you able to see everything, like you say, the yin and the yang, everything is in black and white, and like the future cards, I always say, if you keep going on the course that you're going on, that's what could happen. And Richie did a really good spread the other day where it was a situation, and this is what would happen if you continued going down that path. But this is what would happen if you changed it. And I thought that was a really good. I'll have to get that off him because I thought that was really good. Um,
I'm, I'm wondering if a lot of people that can't read for themselves, or so they say, have trouble with it because they don't want to admit what they see in the cards can be true.
I think you've got to be
If you,
very self-aware, haven't you?
if
To
you see a behavior, an inclination of behavior, oh
Mhm.
no, that's not me. I don't
Yeah,
do that. For
yeah,
me, I look at it and think, am I doing that?
yeah. I'm the same.
And then I think, well, how and where am I doing that?
Yeah,
Let me reflect recently what I've been doing. Or if I don't think I'm doing that, is it possible that other people are viewing me in the way that they think I'm doing that? So
yeah.
that gives me a kind of a heads up, you know?
Yes. I think you've got to be very open-minded, haven't you, when you read cards? And not for yourself. I think you've got to, be able to see the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because, like you say, some people can't accept any sort of criticism of themselves, so they ignore the cards. Um, is that what you mean, kind of thing, Robin?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
also, I know people that will pull a card and they don't like that card. So it's like they don't even address the card or get into it. They just pull another card.
yeah,
And I'm thinking, that card's there for a reason. Like, you need to figure out why you don't like it, or what it's bringing up in you. Or if you don't think it applies to you, figure out why you don't think it applies to you.
mm,
You know,
mm,
because every card in the deck has a good side and a bad side, or a positive and a negative. And it's
I
like,
agree.
and I don't use reversals, but sometimes maybe this I'm a little less aware of, but sometimes something will come up and I don't think of it fitting in the positive upright position. But since I
Yeah,
don't use reversals, I need to remember maybe it's the opposite version that I
yeah.
should be taking into account too.
Mm, mm. And
But
can I ask, Robin, do you read intuitively, or do you go by the standard meanings that you've learnt it from?
uh, both,
Yeah,
mostly intuitively, but I read in layers.
yeah,
It's like sometimes I'll look at a label and read from the labels. Okay, that's that. There's the hermit. There's the chariot. I know what those go into keywords for me and they make a little
yeah,
sentence kind of. But other times I'll look and like little symbol images will pop out at me, and then if I have a little bit of trouble with them, then I'll
yeah,
look at beyond the symbols to how they apply to the label on that card,
Mm.
how they interact with each other in the spread.
Yeah.
And if I'm still having trouble, I have to remind me of the element of those cards.
Yeah.
Sometimes the number of the, so there's like about 4 or 5 layers to each spread, and
Mm.
sometimes it's apparent right away from the images. And then
Yeah.
other times when I have to struggle a little bit more, like maybe I get 2 kings, and I think,
Yeah.
oh, why 2 kings, But then if I think, oh, well, one's the king of cups and one's the king of swords, I
Mm.
think about the relationships of those kings to those
Yeah.
elements, you
Yeah.
know.
No, it's interesting. Definitely.
Uh, oh, V just said, agree, it can be confronting reading for yourself.
Yeah.
And some people just say they can't do it. And I can't get beyond that. I feel like when I do it, I approach the cards almost as if I'm reading for somebody else.
Mm.
Like, you can't get it because it's you. Step outside of yourself and look at it like you're reading
Yeah.
for somebody else. Or think
Yeah.
of it as your other self or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I think, I see, I don't quite understand how people don't think they can read for themselves, but
Mm.
maybe I just have something they don't have, they're lacking, or they don't, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that people
Yeah.
can't actually do that.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's everybody reads differently as well, don't they? I suppose, and
Yeah.
it's yeah. It's one.
Okay. I guess we might as well. Um, oh, wait a minute. There was one other thing that Candy said I thought was interesting. She said that when she sees her collection all out on the shelves in front of her, she gets caught up in it and wants
Yes.
to buy more.
Yeah.
So what she's been doing lately is hiding stuff away,
Mm.
not to get rid of it, but like out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
Yeah.
then she tends to not be craving more. Now, I'm kind of the opposite in a way. Like if I see a lot of decks, it's like I don't want to add to my shelves. I don't
Yeah.
want more on there.
It's overwhelming kind of thing.
I did do kind of something like lately. What I've been rotating 4 decks recently, and I
Yeah.
have them in a little stack here in front of me. And it's like I have this feeling, it's like I pretty much am focused on one of the 4 decks, but the other 3, I feel like I haven't given them a chance yet. I want to work with them before I add anything else. So, I mean, if something came down the pike that really hit me strong, it wouldn't stop me from buying it. But I don't go looking now because I know I've got 3 here waiting that I'm interested or anxious about investigating. It's just that the one that I'm focused on now, I'm loving so much that I don't want to take any time away from it to investigate the others.
How long do you spend with a tarot deck, Robin? How long do you think's long enough to have spent with one?
You mean each day or over time? Over time, or
Yeah, so like if you've got a new deck, how long do you think you should spend with it so you've got to know it before you move on to the next one?
That's a good question because some of them I want to learn from and investigate, and others have kind of become my new best friend and confidant. And when it's those, I don't even want to put them away until I feel, if I reach a point where they feel stale or I'm tired of them,
Yeah.
I'll put them aside. But that so rarely happens.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm getting consistently good readings that are really powerful, and I'm getting also all the pleasures, the not just the visuals, but the tactile pleasures and the handling of it, and the coloring is like so wonderful. It like lifts me up. It's like I don't want to hide that. I want to keep using it,
Yeah.
And I don't spend hours and hours every day using a deck. I would draw one out maybe 1 to 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
4 of the top 5, I'll do a reading 3 card with one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not trying to get a different answer from a different deck, but I'm curious what it will say, what its voice says. and I'll do a 3-card reading about the same subject or whatever, and see what it says. Not trying to contradict the first, but they give you different things, and you get to learn. It's like almost like different decks have different personalities, or
Yeah.
maybe they just draw different personalities out of you.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of fun that way to see
Yeah.
what they have to say.
They've Chris has just said that he finds it harder reading for himself because for him, for me and my reading style, being objective is a big advantage, and it's harder to be objective when it's you. And that's true sometimes. And Gerald says he finds it easy to read for others. I think it might be working on that over the summer. I was going to be working on that over the summer, doing more personal readings. Yeah, I think it's good to practice on others and yourself, isn't it?
I think mine is sort of the opposite of Chris. It's like I'm objective to a negative degree. It's like I don't question if that's me or not. It's like more like I question if it's not me.
Yeah.
So I don't seem to have trouble with the objective. If
And
it's way off the mark, I wonder if I'd shuffled enough or something, or maybe I didn't put enough intention into the question. But it doesn't happen too often.
No. Emmy says, do any of you find you are way harder on yourself when you read than when you read for others? Yeah, I think you are harder on yourself, aren't you? And I think that's human nature.
I think I'm harder on myself because I know more about me.
Yeah.
And I almost, not like I don't want to buffer it for the other person. I want to give them what I see. But I do try to be a little more diplomatic in how I'm delivering the information for them than for myself.
Yeah.
If it's for me, I can get really down and dirty with it. But you never quite know how someone else will perceive the information. So you kind of have to deliver it with kid gloves.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, yeah. And Kaz says, have you used tarot nuages much, Robin? Actually, that's one we're going to discuss today.
What was it? How can
nuages? Kaz was asking if you've used tarot nuages much.
Oh, we'll get to that when we go into. And actually, we could start with that one.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's do that. Oh, I should announce the beginning of the gag-worthy spreads with. It's a magic wand.
The best gherkin ever. I love it.
Tarot Nuage. This is a recent purchase from me, and I saw it on another channel. Apparently, it came out, I think, last fall or maybe even earlier, but I only recently saw it in the last month or so. And when I saw it, this is one of those weird decks where I saw it and I thought, I'm not sure I will ever get any use out of this deck. But it's a deck that I feel like if I don't buy it, at some point down the way, I'm going to miss not having it.
Yeah.
And it also has a very unusual quality to it that I feel, even though it's mass market, is going to be one of those collectibles.
Yeah.
About 20 years from now, people will be paying hundreds to get a hold of a copy of this.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not really in it for reselling, but I think what I'm thinking is if I'm still around in 20 years and I didn't get it, I would be one of those people just trying to decide whether I'm willing to pay $500 to get a copy. So just go ahead and get it now.
Well, I like this one because it reminded, I don't know if you've heard of the Goblin Marketplace Tarot, and I bought that on a whim. And I thought to myself, oh, I liked the front cover, and I got it, and it just wasn't what I thought it was. And this is what I think I would have wanted that to be, because I love the fact that this is, you know, a goblin-esque kind of deck, but it's more fuller, isn't it? And I love the muted tones to it. But should we show some cards, Robin?
We can. Let's talk sort of generally about the deck first. All three of the decks that we're showing today, I think, are in that fairy, goblin, elf, fantastical realm.
Yeah.
All three decks are like quirky and weird and unusual, and are not like modern contemporary things. They're odd creatures, you know, like us. You know, I should speak for myself, but
And that's fine.
it's a U.S. Games one. It's in a really heavy box.
Yeah.
And it's got the cards are, I think they're normal size, and beautiful backs. And one of the things that I had almost sworn off ever buying a U.S. Games deck again was the fact that they always have copyrights on their cards. And I had to struggle a little bit to find them on these. They're there, but they are hard to see.
Yes.
Because I'm doing much better at hiding them. Now, even in this low light, I can't quite see. But if you look really, let's see, where is it? Oh, you're not going to see, but right next to that diamond in the black,
yeah,
the card still, there it is. And they are reversible. But if they've gone that far to make it that hard to see, I'm okay with it, as long as it doesn't jump out at me. And it's on the back, not the front.
I know. I prefer it on the back.
I think this deck I think the guidebook has a sort of certain mythology to this deck or something.
Yes, it does.
But you don't need that to read it. It's like a regular RWS, pretty much. I think, like you, I like the coloring in the deck. It has a vintagey look, like old parchment paper or something.
Yes, that's what I liked about it, actually.
I don't actually like this fool. He seems sort of evil or something, but, you know, it's just me. The lines have a jagged, almost thorn-like quality to them. And they're like fine ink scrawled or scratched lines, which remind me of tattoos. Yeah. Maybe it's the combination of the parchment paper and the line and the shading makes me think of tattoos, kind of, which is, you know, needles in the skin with ink, which has a kind of a almost not evil pain. There's an element of pain, I think.
It's like got quite a sinister vibe, hasn't it, actually?
Yeah.
The way that the characters look quite sinister, don't they?
Yeah.
And Robin, you've done a flip through of this, haven't you?
I have.
Gerald says, do you want him to link it?
Sure. If you feel like it, you're welcome, Phil, or I appreciate it. The coloring I love in this deck. The first time I saw it, I thought, well, that's what I like about it. It has almost an autumn flavor to it. There's a lot of orange, and it has this kind of yellows and oranges. In fact, I don't know if there are any blues. If they're blues, they're really faint. Or it just feels very warm to me, like a late summer afternoon or autumn, you know, when all the leaves turn dark. So for me, I mean, when it comes around to autumn, if people ask me about autumn decks and a thing, I'll drag this out probably for that. You want to show some cards, or?
Yeah. Do you want me to show favorite cards or just?
Yeah, any you want. I mean, I will show a few just because they're here, not because I'm nuts about them.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have favorite cards in this deck, but I mean,
I kind of like the death card. I just thought it was like it's weird. Like
that's the Hermit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the Hermit.
It does look very death-like.
But it does. That's what I was meant. Sorry, the Hermit. But it does look death-like. Yeah. I don't know why. Just with the almost darker cape, and just a weird looking hermit, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that's what I like about this deck, the weird kind of characters, and it's very fey kind of, but
Yeah.
goblin kind of look, isn't it?
Most of the cards only have labels on the bottom. I do wish all of them were that way, though.
Yeah,
Like, I love the majors. See, the majors have a number on the top and a label on the bottom.
yeah,
And the minors only have it on the bottom. And I
yeah.
wish they'd done the whole deck that way. It would have been very easy to do the sun with the Roman numeral next to it
Mm.
on the label.
It kind of cuts the artwork off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The majors,
I
like,
like I like the airiness about the card illustration without the label on the top. It's released to the air. Now
yeah,
this sun I like because I've never seen a sun with a goatee, and it's just kind of whimsical. So I like that.
yeah. I like the moon as well, for the same kind of reason. I just like the sun and the moon actually look like the happiest characters in the deck, don't they?
I like the expression on the moon. It took me a few seconds to find it at first
Yeah,
because of that dark area above it.
yeah,
And so the face is like really reclining. It's like way down.
yeah. That'll
Yeah.
be
And it has
that'll
a
be.
moodiness about it.
Mm. But yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? This one.
I like the Empress. She does have some blue, but it's a very subtle blue. And she's kind of glamorous. This deck also reminds me, if anybody out there there's this deck based on Lovecraft stories called The Book of Azathoth Tarot.
Yeah,
And it's got a lot of fine line work and like creepy angular creatures on it and stuff. I almost find a lot of these cards too busy and too much detail.
mm.
The style and imagery is very intense.
Yeah. Although I don't find it overly busy, like some cards. Like some cards you can't see the artwork for the detail, can you? Whereas these ones are they're busy, but not overly busy, if that makes sense.
Well, I think I find the knights in this deck particularly appealing in contrast to the others because they're not as busy. I don't know why the knights are all in the foreground like this. I think the knights and the aces are the only ones that are
Yeah,
large like this. But all
yeah,
four knights focus on the armor and these close-ups of the armor and the heads and the hands with
yeah. I see
elements.
that. I see what you mean. You're right, actually. They're all like that, aren't they?
And I kind of appreciate that. Now, if the whole deck was like this, I probably wouldn't like it. But in contrast to all the detailing, I'm enjoying those.
You get an extra card as well, don't you, in this deck called the Town?
Yeah. And I wonder, I think one of the other decks that we're going to look at both of the other ones actually have extra cards. And I wonder how people feel about using extra cards. I tend not to use them. I mean, if tarot is a standard, I'll make a choice and pick up the ones that are meant to be in tarot. And
Yeah,
don't usually use the additional ones.
yeah. I'm the same, Robin, to be honest. I tend to take it out. Just because, if you pull it, it throws me. If
Oh,
I
you
don't.
mentioned earlier the death card. So
No, that's it, yeah.
compared to the hermit. You can see.
It's quite sinister.
This also reminds me. There's an old I think it's from New England, arts and crafts movement called scrimshaw.
Yeah,
I somewhere in my jewelry bag I have this small medallion. It was originally whalebone, but that's outlawed now. What they do is they scratch on whalebone with a sharp tool, and then they rub dark ink into the areas that have been scratched, and then polish off the smooth areas. And so it's kind of like an etching on ivory. I think they still might do it, but probably with like beef bone or something, not whale bone.
And
But
Robin, how do you find the cardstock on this deck? Because I don't mind US game cardstock actually.
I like it. I want to say it feels a little bit stiffer, but I don't
Yeah.
know if it really is or not. I'm not that tough on cardstock. I like them to be slick and not generally overly shiny, although I have some real glossy decks that I love too. But I tend to lean more in that slick and slippery direction than matte cards.
Yeah.
I find that for me,
Are you,
matte cards tend to clump more. I don't enjoy that.
yeah, because you like more glossy then. I say I don't like them too glossy,
Mm-hmm.
but I prefer the matte. But I don't like too much of a rose petal because that's when I find they clump
Yeah,
together. You
I
know?
don't care for the rose petal at all.
No.
In fact, that tarot disassembled, which I can't remember if I saw that first on your channel. I like the idea of it, but those are almost like rubberized or rubber.
Yes.
I don't care for the texture of those.
No. You don't
Uh,
like rubber. I
and
know.
yeah, I'm not. There are some matte cards that do glide well, but I
Yes.
don't find that too often. And the
Yes.
overly glossy ones, there's only a few that I like. Like I like Cat Black has a golden tarot that there's a matte version and a glossy version, and I did a trade to get the glossy one. And that one I love glossy because you see paintings. It's like medieval art collage, and you see paintings like that in museums where there's varnish over the surface, and that's what that reminds me of. And
You
that
see, I prefer the matte version of that because that was the first edition that was. So it's glossy now, isn't it? That one from Cat Black
yeah.
that you're on about. Um,
Yeah, I did a trade with Chris Yao because he had the glossy one and wanted matte, and so we
yeah,
switched.
yeah. But no, yeah,
I
I know.
think does I can't remember if the matte one has a gilded edge or not, because I also don't like gilding except for that deck because, again, in museums, besides varnish, they're often in gold frames, so it
Yeah,
works for me
yeah,
conceptually somehow.
yeah.
Where were we going with that in this relation to this deck? The
Uh,
cards cards have a sheen. They're not overly shiny.
to be honest, Robin, they meet in the middle with our tastes because if you like glossy and I like matte, these are kind of in the middle, aren't they? They're not glossy, but they're not
Yeah.
matte.
Well, I prefer these actually. These are my favorite. Glossy is not my favorite.
Yeah,
The only two decks I think that come to mind that I love at Glossy are the Golden Tarot and the Radiant Wise Spirit. I know
yeah,
everybody hates the Glossy on the Radiant Wise Spirit, and I actually love it because for me that deck looks like it's been dipped in olive oil, and there's something really earthy and kind of Mediterranean about it, and I don't know, I just love it.
yeah. I know what you mean. What are people saying? The art makes me feel like I could walk straight into that world. Yeah, Kaz, I know. I love cards that actually do that, where you can feel you can step into that world or that mythic. And I think that's why I'm a very visual person. I do like cards that you can step into different worlds of. So I kind of like that idea there.
I,
And have you heard of the Hesychos Tarot, Robin? Because
I have, but I can't remember what it looks like.
it's very fey, like goblins and all sorts of different creatures. A little bit more lighter than this, but it reminds me slightly of that. This deck
Okay.
does.
Um, Another reason I bought this, besides the feeling like it would be collectible later, and it has a certain unique style to it, is the Pentacles suit. because the Star of the Pentacle suits are all these little mushroom people. And I thought, oh, Toadstool Tarot, I have to have a mushroom deck. And I'm actually waiting now for, there's a mushroom deck that's coming out, I think in the fall.
It's the Kickstarter. Is that the one you've seen? Because I was thinking of you when I saw that.
Yeah. And normally I wouldn't buy it because I don't do herbal or plant or animal decks.
Yeah.
I'm just intrigued enough by that one that I think I have to have it.
These are cute though, aren't they? These little
And I love, besides the mushrooms, they have these little figures. I think they're supposed to be bees, but they look like they have dog faces or something. They're really cute. So yeah, I wouldn't mind it if these two characters inhabited this entire deck. I think I'd actually prefer it.
Yes, I know what you mean. Some
They're
characters.
kind of mischievous and silly or funny, humorous, you know.
But it feels like a mischievous deck, really, doesn't it? It's got that running theme. I do think the Nine of Swords looks a little bit like Yoda.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that enclosure, that cage enclosed there.
Yeah. And they've got penguins on as well, haven't they?
Yeah. And they're weird, like they almost don't look like penguins except for the coloring. They're kind of skinny for penguins. Look at this poor little sad guy. What is that? It's the 5 of coins.
It's so cute.
This one is kind of dark and heavy or creepy, but I like it anyway. It's the 9 of Swords. I guess it is Nightmare. But if you look, these swords are, I think they're the fingernails on these two hands. So it's kind of very Freddy Krueger-ish. With two hands coming together.
Yeah, it's like it is Freddy Krueger-ish, actually. And Robin, Manasseh's asking, what is the name of the mushroom deck that you mentioned?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but if I can find it, I'll maybe post it in the link. I mean, in the description below or something.
Is it actually called the mushroom deck? I think it might
be. There's one out now from some guy in the Pacific Northwest, but I think he did 2 versions, one in like yellow and black and white. And I think he might have done a color version, but it might be majors only. I don't know. But I like the illustrations in this newer one better. I can't remember his name.
In terms of this deck, Robin, though, would you say it's a hit or a miss for you?
It was what?
Is it a hit or a miss for you?
I think it's a miss. I mean, I have it and I won't get rid of it for the reason of, you know, the Toadstool characters and the down the line fear of missing out. But as of the moment, I don't know if I can read it with it, but we're going to test that theory out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How are you feeling about it?
I really like it. It's totally my kind of thing because it's weird. And I like it.
How long have you had it now?
I've only had it a week because it was actually a birthday gift. So I haven't read with it yet. I've only really looked through.
Not at all.
No.
Oh my gosh. Are you ready to bust your cherry today?
Yes. Why not? Let's do it.
We're going to try this. If anybody has Emmy the Gray says right now there's one out called the Mushroom Tarot.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's the one by the guy that has had it out for a year or two, because this one is still in Kickstarter and it's not out yet. I don't know if I think it is called something Mushroom, not Toadstool, but the illustrations are prettier, better done, I think, and beautiful colors. Yeah, I don't know. Just Google Mushroom Tarots and you'll probably see a Kickstarter pop up. Maybe somebody can do it while we're doing this. If anybody has a question they want us to read for using this particular deck, we're going to take 2 questions.
Yeah.
So pop them in the capitals. And if we don't get 2 questions, then we'll just do a general, reading of what does this deck need to tell us.
Yeah.
For the moment, we're just shuffling and waiting on questions. So is anybody curious as to what the Nuage Tarot
That's the same.
will tell them, or what they'd like to know from this deck?
Emmy says that the new one is called the Mushroom Hunter's Tarot.
Okay.
So there is a new one.
Oh, thank you, Emma. I don't know who is an admin, not admin, what do you call them?
Moderator.
On my channel.
Moderator.
Because I didn't have my YouTube open, so I couldn't see the blue because I'm looking at StreamYard. I was going to ask Emma if she could put the link for that Mushroom Hunters Kickstarter up, but she's not in here. I'm going to add her as a moderator. There we go. Emma, if you're blue yet and you have a link for that, please add it. Oh, Gerald has a question, but she says pick someone before him. Don't be shy, folks. Oh, Kaz has a question. Okay. Is there anybody before Kaz? Well, Kaz says, will I buy a home this year?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see Emma put the link. Thank you. I don't see if there's any questions before Kaz. However, I believe neither Ben nor I like to do predictive readings. Now, we can try and tackle this, but don't go to the bank on it because it's a predictive reading.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the cards say or how they read with this deck.
Okay.
I mean, I think you are the one with or without the money, and you probably already know whether you'll buy a home this year, but
well,
cards advise.
I have picked one card, Kaz, and it is the Magician. And to me, that's saying to you that it's within your power to manifest the desire to move, if that's what you want. I feel like you want to move out of your current home. And I think this is saying to you that you've got all the tools there to want to do that. So, I think it's a decision that you can make, but it's something that's certainly in your power there. That's what I think the Magician is trying to say here. You can certainly make that leap if you want to. So that's quite interesting.
I pulled a. Oh, you have more of to that spread, or were you just doing the one card?
No, I only pulled one.
Okay, I'm going to pull 3 cards for each of these. So I've got the Wheel of Fortune, Strength, and the Page of Wands. Now the Strength card is at the core, and I think that's basically your answer. It's like, yes, you can buy a house if you have the strength to do it, which is basically what Ben just said. You're the magician. You have all the power. Now, the first card is the Wheel of Fortune. So there are elements of chance involved. Whether you find the right house, whether you make the best offer to the seller for the house, whether you think it's worth the gamble. There are all these elements around the Wheel of Fortune that leave things a little bit up in the air, but you're still spinning the wheel and considering how the wheel lands. So there's that. And the third card is the Page of Wands, which is passion. Like if you're passionate enough about this, you may follow through and you may do it. But since it's the page, it's the first of the court cards. So it's like the beginning of this process. So I would say, I think you're a little bit uncertain since you're the page at the start of feeling some sense of passion about the house. But some of it is going to depend on fate and chance. And a lot of it is going to depend on your strength with regards to dealing with the whole situation.
Yeah.
So far, I think this deck has worked for me.
Yeah. I think it's worked as well for me, because with questions like that, I tend to only pull one card, but I didn't expect the Magician, which is basically throwing back up, saying, you've got it in your power to do it. And from what you've said from your cards, Robin, it's the same kind of message, isn't it?
I also have to admit that I didn't look very much at the images. I went pretty much straight to the labels.
Yeah.
Now, as to the images, if we want to look at them, I don't like this lion. If you look at this lion, it's got like 6 eyes and sort of Medusa-like mane or something. It's a really creepy, scary lion, and it does have kind of a smile to it, but
Oh, it is a bit weird, isn't it? It's got a few
yeah,
eyes.
it's got 4 eyes by the nose, and it looks like another eye in each ear, but I'm not really sure. It's just creepy.
Maybe that's trying to say keep your eyes wide open, Kaz.
Oh, there you go. Well, and it's got a mountain peak in the back, which also could be, Let's read it intuitively from the imagery now. So in the back, in the distance, is a mountain. So something to climb, something to strive for, is far off. There, if you read it like a Lenormand, the mountain is a barrier. So there's some barrier between your strength and getting to where you want to go. You have to go through a bit of a process to get there. Also, there's a cloud hanging over that mountain. And so there may be some doubts that you have, some things you're not sure about. But like Ben said, keep your eyes open. Even the character that is holding the lion seems to have a third eye on her crown, and both of them are facing us, not facing the mountain behind her. So, pay attention to all the details out there, the ones you might not be paying attention to because they're not foremost on your mind.
Yeah.
The Page of Wands is sporting a flag on his wand, and look, he's standing on a little pile of something which looks like a little mountain. So it's kind of like he's conquered something. He's conquered the little mountain, maybe not the big one yet, maybe taken the first step. And his wand also has a banner on it, which seems like some degree of celebration. So I would say the beginning of your investigation may bring something that is celebratory to an extent, but it's only the beginning, so keep that in mind. The Wheel of Fortune part, there's a shiny sun above with, I think they're birds flying up there, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But there's kind of something creepy fiddling around in the bottom, sort of worm-like or snake-like. I don't know what to make of that. I guess that could be, the good stuff above, the not so good stuff below, but the wheel keeps turning. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's creepy, that one with the worms, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's see.
Yeah, Kaz says that was a good reading, Robin.
Oh, M.A. says, ooh, a bit of an R. Crumb vibe there, maybe. Are you familiar with R. Crumb, Ben?
I've heard of the name.
He's a sort of hippie illustrator from the 60s. if you, this is another one, I don't know if you'll know, Janis Joplin's second album with Big Brother and the Holding Company is called Cheap Thrills. And it's probably his most famous work, the cover art on that. The illustration has a real old-timey, old-fashioned kind of 1920s to 1940s cartoon style to it, but not like the Merry Melodies, happy, silly stuff. It's more of a kind of greasy, grungy, darker side of urban life, you know. But it's really good. His stuff is really good, and he's very much into nostalgia stuff. In fact, he formed a band that plays like old timey music on like fiddles and stuff, and accordions and fiddles.
Oh no, I'll have to check that out.
Cass says, spot on. I'm spinning the wheel, gathering strength, looking everywhere for the passion attraction. Yeah, we're not getting anything about the backstory about needing to move or wanting to move, but that's okay.
It's as long as it makes sense. That's
yeah. And Emmy says you're getting some good added nuance out of the details in these cards. That's always a good sign. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add about this deck before we move to the next one?
No, I just love I think, you know, I don't think the artwork's for everyone, but I do think it's a whimsical deck, isn't it? And it's quite a fun deck, and I think it's a great one to use for your intuition and stuff.
Yeah. I also appreciate that on this hardcover box, it's got a little thumb insert, because, you know, some of those decks in a hardcover set, hard box, fit so tightly down here that you can't get them out without that help.
This one's quite easy though, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think this was very expensive. I think it was might have been around $26 on Amazon. I'm not sure. It looks to me like an indie deck.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the look of
no. It's been reasonably priced though, definitely.
Yeah. Let's do the Fantome next, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
Now, you'll probably have more to say about this deck than I will, but I'm going to start off. Again, it's a nice, sturdy, hard box.
Yes.
This one does not have a thumb index. However, it doesn't. The top lid doesn't go down as far as the bottom, so it's kind of got a built-in thumb index. So the
only thing I found with this though, Robin, I love the box, but there's a lot of empty space at the top. Is that the same? And yours?
About a quarter of an inch or something, I think.
Yeah.
It's almost as much empty in the top as that thing in the bottom there.
Yeah, there is.
I don't know if I mind that.
Even the height.
I like a little bit of a recess, because I have found some decks where the cards come above the top or to the actual top, and then they tend to glide and slide off, and you can like bend the top when you put the top back on. So these sit nicely in there. In fact, you can see if I angle it, look how much space there is in the top.
That's it can kind of float around in there, can't it? You know, shake.
Now, I'm guessing that this deck bugs you because it is glossy.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be so glossy, but I think that's because it's a deck that you use with an app. So for anybody that is learning the tarot, this is a really good deck, because if you can download an app, and what do they call it? Is it augmented reality, where you put your iPad or iPhone over it, and then the image pops to life, and you click on different symbols, and it tells you about what the symbols mean and stuff. So it's very clever, but it can just be read normally like a normal tarot deck as well. It's very
because, to be honest with you, I'm tech phobic, and I had trouble. I had to download an app, which I don't like doing anyway, unless it's going to be an app I use a lot.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't get it to work. All I could get it to do, it brought up a little figure of a cat, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing I could get it to bring up. The cat sort of moved around, but I
Yeah.
couldn't get anything else. And I thought I was going to. I didn't know if there was more to it than that.
No,
So
I started using it the other day, and I thought it's very clever, I have to say. But I love the artwork. I'm a huge fan of the artwork.
I kind of gave up on it after the cat and just went with the deck art itself.
Yeah.
This looks like a deck that should have gilding on it because the backs are this shiny metallic, but it doesn't, oddly enough. And I don't really like gilding anyway, but I'm also not fond of this back. It's kind of Art Deco and like blue aluminum or something. But some people will love that.
I think it's very synthy. Like it reminds me of like 80s synth, the kind of art style,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Well, I think one of the reasons there are two reasons I have it. One is it's basically like fairy-like imagery or fairy elf imagery. And the other is it's a night deck.
Yeah.
All the images, I don't even know if there are any images in the deck. I think every one of them is at night. There are no daytime images. There are several that have orange buildings in them, but
Yeah.
all of the backgrounds are night skies. And I got it because I don't have any other decks like that.
You're right, Ron. Yeah, it is all night sky.
Generally speaking, I don't like the idea. I don't think I would use a night deck. But if I ever find myself wanting to, I have one now.
Yeah.
And all the figures in this deck have a sort of a glow to them. And I think the emphasis that glows in blue, I think that may relate to the app somehow.
Yes, I think so.
I'm not sure.
Oh, bye, Gerald. Speak to you later.
Bye. They are very, what do you call it? Very, very stylized. And if you like that sort of style, it might appeal to you. They kind of remind me of, I don't know, anime or some kind of cartoon or something.
Yeah, I definitely have an anime style. But I think you're right. I think the reason for the high colouring is because of the app, so that the app can recognise the images and stuff.
They do kind of glow, and I'm almost sorry that they're glossy, so you could see them better.
I know it's hard to show these, isn't it?
It does feel to me very Art Deco. It's like these sort of angular jewel-like geometrical kind of constructions seem very much like Art Deco design from like the 1920s or something. But then you've got this weird kind of anime feel to them that reminds me of some sci-fi fantasy cartoon or something.
Yeah.
It's still not like stuff, a fantastical one, like if Star Wars was a cartoon or something, not something light and cheery, but something more serious.
So is this a hit or a miss for you, Robin? I'm guessing it's a miss for you.
Debbie Downer. It's a miss for me again. I don't think I'm going to get rid of it anytime soon, though. But it's one of those decks where I think I'd be more prone to look at the cards for the artwork than to use them for readings.
Yeah.
Because I think I tend to go for warmer daytime imagery.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd often find myself in a situation where I'm in the mood for this. No. Possibly if I were reading for others and they were very into it,
Personally, I love it. It's right up my street again, this deck. And actually, this was a gift. Someone gifted this to me, so I was really. They know me very well. So I was really pleased when I got this, because I'd been looking at it for a long time, and I love the idea that you, especially for people who are learning, it's great that you can use an app with it. And I don't know any other tarot card that actually does that. So
I can see where this fits very much into your taste,
yeah,
because you like these kind of illustrations and the
yes,
color,
yes,
because you're all about color. Now, I'll bet though that this is probably one of the darkest decks that you have with a sort of a cartoon style like this.
yes, it's very true, Robin. Um, yeah, with this style artwork, definitely. I haven't got a deck as dark as this.
And some of the figures are very handsome, very glamorous for cartoons.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking that there's not really diversity in this deck if you're a
no, you're
person.
right. It's not a diverse deck at all. I would agree with that. Um,
Oh, I found a few dark skinned people though, but they're all very good looking. Here's one in a crown. Here's one carrying swords. There we go. Yeah. So I take that back. But they are all, I don't think there are any heavier or older people in here. They all seem slim and muscular and very attractive. It's very adventure
yeah,
related.
very much so. It reminds me of like um, Treasure Planet or something, the Disney film.
Yeah.
Very, or Atlantis, that Disney film.
Do you have handy the app? Are you able to, or does it take too long to find
I
something?
don't think it would show up. Yeah,
No, I just wondered what it would show you if you're looking at it.
it shows you there's like a cat, isn't there, that it shows you, and then you have to go into it to see the cards and place the cards, and then the cat
Oh,
kind of helps you, I think.
because this one, the devil's head, that horned skull, looks like it's all glowing, like that might be a symbol that would come up on the app and do something.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, Robin, I don't think the characters come to life as such. It's more the symbols pop up.
okay. Yeah, because this is interesting that the fringe, or I mean, not fringe, the what do you call it on their robes is glowing too, which I don't
The
know why that.
chains.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it chains?
yeah,
Oh, you're right. It is chains. So the devil's head, the pentacle inverted, and the chains. Well, that
yeah.
makes me wonder, do all the other pentacles face down like that? Or just the devil?
No, it's only on the devil card.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because on the others, they're all the right way up.
Well, a couple other features with this deck is it has this cute little Start Your Fantome Journey pad. It's just got blank pages in it. I guess it's for you to make notes inside. I,
Oh,
did yours have that?
no. Did yours come with that?
Yeah,
No.
which takes up part of the space in the bottom of the box. It's just plain paper and a pad. I
Oh, no.
wonder if I think I got this from. Oh, I got this from in a trade from Lisa Papez, and I don't know if maybe this was from a Kickstarter or something. Maybe that's why. Does yours have the little stand in it too, or no?
No. I
Oh,
bet that was a Kickstarter.
it must be a Kickstarter,
Yeah.
because it also had, and I love this is my favorite thing actually about the deck. There's a little wooden piece that
Oh,
you
that's cool.
put your cards in and stand them up and look at them, which I really love. And it's also got two little extra cards, which you probably do have in the deck, I would think. One's the reader and one's the artist.
I think.
I'm not sure. I guess I could read the reader as the fool if I wanted to. The artist is a magician. I don't know. I didn't actually read the book to see how they signify. Maybe they're just significant cards.
Yeah. I don't know if I've got those two. Let's have a look.
I thought this was. I can't remember if this is a. This says 2001 Lamusi Design.
Yeah, I've got them.
LaMusiDesign.com. I think it's an indie deck, yeah.
Yeah, it is an indie.
Oh, but yeah, I absolutely love that little stand. I'm sorry you didn't get one.
I know, it looks a nice little stand, that does.
Yeah, so it's kind of, you'll have a flat surface here, but it nicely holds a little display card if you're prone to single out a card for your altar or something. And I will probably use it for other decks, you know.
Was that in your box, Robbie?
Yeah,
That makes sense why there's space then. Because it was obviously the Kickstarter had extras.
so, yeah, but even with this, there's still space in the top.
Yeah.
And I don't think she pulled anything else out of the box when she sent it to me. Anyway, we were going to do a reading of this.
And Robbie, I'm sorry, I'm sorry to be a party pooper, but I might have to leave soon because we're up to an hour and a half. Sorry. It's gone so quick, I didn't realise.
Okay. How much more time do you think you have?
I can do another 10 minutes.
All right, then let's go to the third deck. We're going to skip the reading part on this. Have you read with this deck, though?
No, again, this was a birthday gift, so I haven't actually read with it yet.
Well,
so
let me know how it works out. This last one is, I've already done, I think, two, yes. The Trionfi Della Luna Illustrated edition, Illustrated Tips edition. I think I've already done a couple of walkthroughs or videos of this. I'd be curious to know your impressions of it. This is the one out of the three that I would recommend highly. I have been using this deck every day, and when I go to public, it's in my bag. I take it with me. I actually have 4 decks in my bag that I take out. The others are minis, and this is the only full-size one. Yeah. And this one has taken over. I love it. I love the coloring of it. It's muted colors on kind of a, again, almost like a parchment color background.
Yeah.
And it's got some extra cards in it, some extra devils, and a couple other extra cards in it.
It's got quite a few, hasn't it? Extra cards.
Yeah, I think there are 8 devils or something.
Yeah.
And, several alternates, I think, for, let's see, the Judgment, the Tower, the Star. I'm not sure beyond that. But, yeah, we won't do a whole walkthrough. There's so many out there. It's very popular now.
It is, yeah.
But I have a ton of Patrick Valenza decks, and this one is, for me, the best.
Yeah,
I mean, I could let all the others go and be happy with only this one.
I prefer it to the Deviant Moon.
Me too. And I have the Pip one for this, and I use this more.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just, I think there were about 4 or 5 different cards in the deck that really drew me to it because of the color. I think the 9 of Pentacles with the woman in the garden has like these beautiful rainbow colors in it. I may not be able to locate it quickly, but it's got lovely color. And some of the alternates I've chosen, here's the House of God versus the Tower, which I've chosen in this one. because the tower is so prevalent in all other decks. And this one reads the same for me, so I enjoy the change of pace.
Yeah.
Um,
I also liked in this one the nine of cups, because there's actually 8 cups shown, but there's the last one's in the stomach, isn't it? Because they ate the last cup.
This is the devil out of the 7 extra devils that I chose, not for any particular reason other than it's mildly amusing and it's different than any other devil I've seen depicted quite this way.
Yeah.
So I found certain cards particularly refreshing, and I was feeling like a little bit of the deck, the aces and the majors, felt a little stale to me because I had used the pit version so much that I already knew them. So I switched out a few cards.
It's a really nice deck. Interestingly, the death card doesn't have death on it. There's no titles, is there?
Right, and I think that's sort of traditional, that the death card's not supposed to be a labeled card.
Oh,
I love the 4 of Wands because I like this kind of almost like gingerbread house quality of this card. There were a couple that I just really liked the color. I like this 3 of coins where this one coin is missing. It almost looks 3-dimensional, like, that it's lifted off the wall.
Go through it.
Oh, here's that 9 of coins. Beautiful colors. Look at the rainbow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Oh, and I love the 6 of coins with this guy feeding this fish, spilling out of the cup on his head versus.
It's very artistic, isn't it, Robin? That one.
Oh, here's another really pretty color one that I like.
Yeah. So, I think I know the answer to this already, but is this a hit or a miss for you?
This is a super hit for me. This is not only a hit for a regular deck, but a hit for Patrick Valenza decks. I love this card too. I've always loved these fantastical boat crossing, fantastic looking boats.
Yeah.
Swords. And even the cards that look sort of like mischievous or dark or evil, I get a kick out of, like this one. I love his expression. And this sneaky guy, I love his dark expression.
Yeah, it's the expressions on the faces, isn't it, that are really clever.
Before I lose you, I want to show this spread that I did the other day. It was on Chris's channel, but I found interesting the Hangman, the Chariot, and the 8 of Swords. It's kind of hard for me to hold up, but I mean, you know what the Chariot looks like. But it occurred to me, these are kind of the same card. I never thought of it until these came up, bookending this spread. But both of them are situations where somebody is enclosed or trapped by something, and yet both of them have the ability to get out of their situation.
Yeah.
Now, we mostly think of the Hangman as finding new perspective by his position, but why wouldn't we find the same thing in this 8 of Swords? Being bound in and yet able to release oneself, would you be pausing there for reflection or getting perspective on your situation? I never really equated the 2 cards before I got this spread, and now I'm going to be thinking about that a lot.
I love that, Robin. I've never noticed that before.
Somehow the Hangman feels more positive, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
So I'm going to think about that more in the future. I want to thank you for joining me. I need to let you go. I don't know. Is your thing at 6:30 or 7? Oh, on the hour or on the half hour?
Sorry, say that again, Robin. I didn't catch what you said.
You have to go to another share or something?
No, I have to go to bed.
Oh.
Only, no, it's because it's 11:45 coming up here. That's all.
Okay. I thought you
I'll be
were
knackered.
running off to another.
Oh no, I haven't got another live.
I
No,
wasn't sure if you were part of Gerald's thing, whatever it is.
no. He's, I think.
Okay. Well, I thank you for being here. I thank everybody else for attending. And sorry we didn't get to the what's that? Queen of Wands, please. Kaz wants to see. I don't know. Well, you can look through. You can look on my channel if you would for the walkthrough, or on other people's channel. I have a full flip through, and there are a number of them out there. Apologies because we don't have time here to do that, but I thank everybody for joining us, and I have really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
I hope you all have too. Maybe we spent a little bit too much time at the beginning going over these other ideas, but I enjoyed that too.
Me too.
So we're going to let you go, and everybody have a great week, and come back in a couple of weeks. I think it's Saturday the 16th, maybe. I'm not sure. It might be. Of July will be my 3rd channelversary, and Ben's going to be one of the people joining me for that. So I look forward to that in several weeks.
It'll be good.
And everybody enjoy Pride Month and the good weather while it lasts. And thank you all for being here. So long.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.